If you died today, would your loved ones know where you buried your gold? I know it's a somber thought, but I'm being serious here. If something happened to you, or there are some loose ends that you kind of wish you would have told people prior to, that's what I want to talk about today. Let me bring in my co-host Tony Shore, because you might have some pretty interesting insight in this. We've all lost people, and today we're going to talk about why it's important to keep a list handy of information that's important information to your loved ones, just in case you die. For a lot of people, and I've been pushing this, and I've done a lot of shows on estate planning, the importance of a will, powers of attorney, a trust maybe. Do you need a trust? All these things are quite important. But I'm going beyond that and saying just getting the other stuff together. Like if you literally hid some gold, where did you bury it? And who's going to know? Right? What do you say, Tony? You want to talk about this, or is it too somber?
Uh, well, no, I mean, nobody likes to think about their own passing or the passing of a loved one, but I think it's a really important topic, and I have very specific examples. This happened with my grandfather. We've talked about him on the show before. Grandpa Bob lived to 101. He was active until 100 and only started decline in the last few months of his life. So he was active up and about, camping, buying new things at age 100. And he had a will, of course, and that set up. He didn't have trust, but he had a will and direct transfer of deed on land. So he had all that set up. The problem is for my dad and myself, because my mother has Parkinson's and she has the Lewy bodies dementia that goes with it. So she was the organizer of my dad's finances and papers, and my grandfather was very tight knit with his stuff. So not a lot of people knew. They knew he had a filing cabinet with stuff in it. But once he passed, one of the siblings went and cleaned out the file cabinet and took everything in it and didn't share anything with the other people. Yeah. And no one could find, he had a Verizon cell tower on his land, and they would deposit every month $660 into his, that's just mailbox money. He'd get a check every month. And my dad inherited the land that's on. Okay. And I'm like, that's the first question I asked my dad. I go, how's this land divided up? Who gets the land with the cell tower? And my dad's like, why is that important? And because I know that's the smartest thing Grandpa ever did, because that's money is always going to be there. Verizon's always going to cut that check. That's mailbox money, and you could really use that because that's instant. No one knew where the contract was or the contact information or anything. He did not tell anyone that. We couldn't find it anywhere. We got most of the papers back that were in the filing cabinet, and unless my dad's brother kept it, we couldn't find anything relating to that. And also, no one knew about every bank account or insurance policy he had. He had papers on various insurance policies going back to the 60s and 50s. Yep. Right. So we don't know which are valid, which are viable. Nothing was written down. There was a will for the land and the major property, but also he had a pickup truck that was relatively new. I mean, for being 101, it was probably 8 years old, maybe, but it had low mileage, nice shape, right? Yep. Yeah. Oh, he drove up until 99. Yeah. Or 98. Wow. He was still driving. So my dad's brother came and took the truck without talking to anybody, and that caused a huge problem, but that wasn't clearly specified in the will who would get that truck. He knew where the keys were, I guess. So that could be another thing. Where are the keys to the car? There were some keys to certain doors they never did find, like the key to the shop, but the door was always left open. But my dad wanted to lock it because he inherited the buildings, but couldn't find the key.
And how many hours were spent on the phone talking to insurance companies and bank accounts to wild goose chase?
I had to do a lot of that for my dad. Yeah. It was crazy.
And so an updated chart or list of assets, chart of accounts, asset list, it's an important part of estate planning documents. So when I'm helping people with their estate planning, they're creating the will, they're creating their powers of attorney, and that makes sense to people. And then there's this list of accounts and they're like, well, and what do I put on it? And I say, put on as much as you want on there. Well, I don't know. Things might change. I don't want it to be all documented legally. I'm like, this document, this list of accounts isn't for you. It's for your loved one that's settling your estate. The will's going to say where things go. But if they don't know something exists, how are
Right.
they going to figure it out? And is
Yeah,
it
that's
detailed
the
enough?
problem.
Right? So people get that, okay, I'll put the account name. I got a bank at Bank of America. I got my Wells Fargo bank. Here's the account number, or I have this life insurance policy with ABC company and it's worth 150,000 or something like that, right? They get that. Those are the obvious things. Those are the low-hanging fruit. But it's the cell tower contract, like you mentioned. Where's that? Um, People's contact information. I tell people all the time, hey, I know this is your money that I'm helping you with. This is your life. But you should tell your kids that I exist, who I am. And if something should happen to you, to give me a call. And I'll help them through this because I can see a whole lot of things that they may not see, or you may not want them to see.
Right.
But I'll also have questions to ask. Oh, your mom mentioned they had a timeshare. What about that? Your mom mentioned there was a contract with the cell phone tower. What happened to that? Right. And a lot of times what they say, and this happened with my mom, she had her phone and she had a lock on it. And so she was getting texts after that. It's like, well, what's the obligation? Do I respond? How do I get in? I don't even know how to get in the phone. Right.
Passwords. That's what I'm
Password.
paranoid about. And I've told my wife and kids where I keep a secure list of passwords. It's password protected, my passwords, but they
Right.
know I want them to know my main password so they can access other things. So, a list of passwords. And that's why you work with a financial professional. They can keep those lists for you securely. Right. Like
Right.
yourself.
I
Yeah.
have a document center that I could use. I take
Yeah.
people's will, power of attorney. I have it uploaded just in case. But, who do you invite to a funeral? Who do you contact? Like, will my kids know my college buddies that I want to notify? Well, how do I contact them? It's in my phone. Well, where's your phone? I can't get at it. So simple stuff. And it's dismal to think this way, but think ahead. Legal documents, contracts, like you said, this is a great example that you told us. And did that ever work out, by the way? Did you figure out the cell phone contract yet?
That was my undertaking, and it took 6 months. But yes, my father is now getting that, and they gave him the back payments he missed because the check stopped being forwarded at some point, and so it was
If you didn't know
a
about that,
it was a
it would have gone.
nightmare.
It would have been gone if you didn't know about it.
Right.
But it would have been so much easier if your grandfather just put a contract in a
Well, yeah,
file.
they have a form online. You just, fill out this form to transfer name. We need a death certificate. Understood. You fill out this form,
Right.
but you have to have what's the contract number?
Yeah.
What's
Right.
what's the plot number for that tower?
Right.
You have to have all these
Where's the
numbers.
deed on right.
I had nothing, and it was unbelievably tough. And then they wanted. Oh, it turns out on one of our documents, his last wife's name was on there too, so we need her death certificate. Well, she died 25 years ago, right? It's like,
Yep. That's
how
it.
am I going to get that?
What about a prenuptial? I've seen that. A second marriage. Oh yeah, don't worry, kids. The new wife that I just married at age 85, she's getting nothing, or she's got her own stuff. Well, can I prove that? Where's the prenuptial agreement?
Yeah.
You don't think about these things
Right.
because it's like, well, that's none of my kids' business. Yeah, it is when you're past. So I use an online password manager for myself, which has got its own risk in itself, but I have the master password written down in the safe. So if something happened to me, my wife could go in and get the master password, and then boom, she can log in and get the certain accounts that she knows about. Right? What if she doesn't even know the account exists?
Yeah.
Right? The radio money slush fund. Like, do I tell her about it? I hope she's not watching. Here's another issue that people don't think about. This happened with my mom. Still an ongoing thing. My mom had Facebook account.
Yeah.
Still open. She's been dead for over 5
I
years.
think about this all the time because I have a lot of
Uh,
Facebook friends, and that's how I communicate with
right.
friends.
Yeah, like, what do? Do you keep it open? There was options, believe it or not, in Facebook. You could turn it out and shut it down, or you can turn it into a memorial site. Who makes that decision? What did my mom want?
What was
What
her
I
Facebook
suggested
password?
might be different than what my brothers wanted.
And what was
And
the
now here we are.
password? Yeah.
Right. And if you don't tell your kids what you want with your social media sites, who's going to make that decision? It caused fights. It could cause fights. What if my brother wanted to memorialize it and I wanted to shut it down?
Yeah.
Awkward, right? So,
especially knowing your brother, it could definitely cause fights.
Right. So,
I'm not going to name names,
people
Ed,
don't
but
think about. That's what people don't think about.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, social media accounts, letters to loved ones. I do videos for clients. If anyone of my clients says, hey, I want to leave a video for my kids, can you upload this? We do the video, we upload it to their vault, and then we can, the kids can access it later. Here's why I did what I did in the will. Here's a little bit of an explanation, or here's a letter. That's a tough one. That's a tough one because, it's emotional. But what would you want to tell your kids if you died? What would you want them to say? Why not write it down and memorialize it and put it somewhere? So, yeah, a will and a trust or legal documents that's easy. A lot of people don't even do that, but that's easy. But it's the other things that you don't think about that cause the hiccups. The thing that gave you the most headache was this Verizon tower, right? Like, but I'm sure your grandfather wasn't like, I can't wait till my son has to struggle
Right,
to find
no.
that contract. He probably just didn't even think about it because
Right.
it's been how long that you own that?
Yeah, a long time. Yep.
Another one people aren't thinking about. Where's the gold buried?
Yeah. True.
Do you have gold? Crypto accounts. Crypto, you can't get in it. Like, do you remember that story of the guy that lost his password in a junkyard in England? And he has like $30 million of Bitcoin on there worth, yet he threw out his password
He can't
in
access
a hard drive.
Yeah.
And he's like, do I contemplate buying out this junkyard for millions of dollars just so I can pick through and maybe get it? Storage. You ever watch that show, Storage Wars?
Oh, yeah.
How does that happen? How do you have a storage unit that's unclaimed? Like, where
I
do those
don't
come
know
from?
I do not know how that happens, but I guess it happens a lot. There's a storage place just in our little town where I live, Stillwater, and I was talking to the manager, and they said we have unclaimed storage units all the time.
Well, it's what if you put your mom's stuff in storage while your dad moves to a different place, and then you forget about it? Unclaimed.
Yep.
So you got to let people know it exists.
Yeah.
There's probably junk in there anyway.
Right.
People hide cash in their house, literally. Right?
Yeah.
Especially the boomer generation, you hide cash. It's not a bad idea. Ready to go. Cash is good. But what if you put it in the Bible or different books or something like that? You kids know about it. Are they going to give it to the local library? Oh, and look what I found: $500 sitting in this book.
Yeah.
So you get the idea. By the way, on a side note, when we're talking about stuff, it's important that you document what you have, but stop hoarding this stuff. Odds are your family members do not want your house. They don't want your stuff. And that's the big burden, is just getting rid of stuff.
It is. Yeah.
Like, you had an estate sale when your grandfather died, right?
Yep.
Your father probably wants the stuff, but you're thinking to yourself, what am I going to do with all these tractor parts? Like, really? I don't know how to fix a
Yeah.
tractor.
No, my dad actually sold most of it on the auction, which is good. But I mean, yeah, it's just like my grandfather collected all this stuff and then his kids sold it. They didn't want it.
They sell it.
Yeah.
They sell it. Your kids are going to sell your stuff. So
Yeah.
get rid of what you don't want. Sell it while you're alive. Keep the stuff that you really want, because then that'll be meaningful and it'll save a whole lot of headaches.
Yeah.
It'll save a whole lot of headaches. That's just a little aside on this.
Yeah.
So,
Good point.
conclusion, take time to write down the things that aren't in your will necessarily, and put it somewhere safe and let people know it exists.
Right.
No sense in having the gold buried if you don't tell people where it's buried. I mean, it sounds counterintuitive, but you know, keep it updated. You know, and give it to someone you trust. Maybe put it in the cloud. I'm sure there's software out there now, or give it to your financial advisor, your lawyer, someone that you know is going to be around to help out.
Sure.
Give it to one of the kids, the executive
There
of your
are
state.
secure online sites, like you said, you know, password managers, things like that. Do you utilize I know there's a tool called the Generational Vault. Do you use that or no?
Yeah. I use that for my clients. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
a
a great place because that has 32-bit encryption, just like banks, and you can keep passwords, pictures, videos, you know, if you want to leave a video for your loved ones to watch after you're gone.
For updated account information with clients. You can act, and what I like about it is you can tell your children, you can give them access, but limited access. So, you know, they can see only these documents.
Sure.
They can't see all the account information.
But like you said, there's active live accounts in there, right? Where you can check your balances and you go in and you can see how much money you have in your accounts. And so it keeps live. You can keep copies of your passports, your powers of attorney. Yeah, that's that generational vault is huge. I mean, it's a great value, and I know you offer it to your clients for no charge, right?
Right. And people at first are like, I don't want to do it. And I use it as, well, I don't want to share documents online via email because someone can hack that. Let's put it somewhere safe where we could share. But then they start to see, oh, this would be good to have my will up there or my power of attorney because my daughter doesn't live anywhere near me.
Or keep all your accounts in one place. Like we had to hunt for different accounts information. And what if all those insurance policies and IRAs and money market accounts were all listed or in one place where your family could access them? The generational vault, sure, it takes a little work putting it in there, and some people don't want to do it, but again, it's just like any estate planning. Nobody wants to do it, but if you do it, you're going to leave your loved one so much better off. They're not going to be left in some kind of a, you know, burden.
And it's like my kids, they don't keep their room clean. And I say, just do a little bit every day and it's easy. Instead of waiting for, 40 towels to pile up on the floor.
Right.
It's the same with this stuff. Create a list, have it easily accessible, and then update it every year. Make a point, like kind of like spring cleaning. Let's update my accounts. Would I buy something? Did I get a new car? Where's the deed? Where's the title on the car? Where's the deed on the new property? Where's the keys with the storage unit?
Right.
It just helps. So,
yeah.
But again, though, stop hoarding stuff. No one wants it. Keep track of the stuff that isn't necessarily listed in the will. It's something a little extra, but I think it goes a long way. And your story about that cell tower contract just drives it home. That's a perfect example of something that could, I mean, it
was a thorn in my side, and my dad was so frustrated.
How many days did you get frustrated with that? How many days did you spend just dealing with nonsense? Easily avoided.
The stack of documents I ended up having to send over those months, it literally 2 inches thick.
Well, I'm glad it worked out in the end.
It did.
And I'm glad that you might be sharing that story, helping other people avoid this drama. Take the time today, you listening, to create your list for your loved ones. And, I'm too young for that. Tomorrow's promised to no one. Get it done now. You won't be around to thank yourself, but your family will thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day, everyone. Tony, thanks again for a good show. We'll catch everyone next week.
All matters discussed in today's show are for informational purposes only.
This show is not investment advice.
Dan Riddle nor Dolphin Financial Group are affiliated or endorsed by any government agency. Investment advisory services are offered through Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc., a registered investment advisor in the state of Florida. Insurance products and services are offered through Dolphin Insurance, Inc. Dolphin Wealth Management, Inc. and Dolphin Insurance, Inc. are affiliated companies doing businesses as Dolphin Financial Group. You should talk to someone at Dolphin